exophonic, English exophonic version. I'm the chair, the ICA chair of the joint ICA Hygiene Commission Autonomy. And we have in this second session 4 papers to be presented. The first paper, unfortunately, had to be cancelled. The paper had to be presented by Leonid Rudenko of Ukraine. He's a very prominent photographer, and it would have been very interesting to know something about the national atlas of the Ukraine as a proud national atlas, which has first been published in 2007 and had several updated editions since. So it is a very interesting presentation, unfortunately, but nevertheless, I think the rest of the presentations will be good enough and interesting enough. All of the presenters present online, so we have no local presenters, and we have also pre-recorded versions. So if something should happen, we can use a pre-recorded version. You will also have the opportunity to ask questions, and please ask the question from the floor. I will repeat your question as good as I can and present it to the presenters, and they will hopefully hear me and can respond to your question. So it will work in this way. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, that's because the microphone that you may use amongst you does not capture the voice properly with our masks on. But since it's always the same microphone, you may not take your mask off, because that would mean that people would be talking to the microphone, to the same microphone without a mask. So I apologize for this, but as long as we have masks on, it will not capture the voice properly.
Thank you for this clarification. And we start now with the first presentation with Putrenko, but with János Jeney, and he's an ethnographer from the Institute of Hungarian Research in Budapest, and will talk about romanization of the Cyrillic scripts. Please, János, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see you well. Yes.
Okay, and you can also see my PowerPoint slides. Okay, so I'll start, and it's about comparing how we transcribe the Serbian geographical names into Latin script versus the Ukrainian names. Now, I have to say that I wrote this paper before 24th of February. So there were some unexpected changes, which you'll see in the end. Now, the biggest difference between these two countries, obviously both of them using the Cyrillic alphabet, is that Serbia, dating back, well, actually Yugoslavia back then, managed to standardize the romanization of their geographical names in such a way that it's accepted worldwide. This doesn't actually only apply to Serbia, it applies to all former Yugoslav states that use Cyrillic script. Now, Ukraine and Russia tried this as well back during the Soviet times, didn't exactly succeed. So they use the way their names are romanized depends on the country who does it. So let's call that the target language for now, or the receiving language. Now, on top of this, because I really don't want us to be confused with minority place names that are written in Latin script. Both countries also have this, so this makes it even a bit more complicated, but not everywhere. You'll see that as well. Now, Serbia, as well, Ukraine also has this, but in Ukraine it gets more complicated. Some minority place names are basically pronounced the same way as the Serbian place name, or at least the proper noun part. I'll get back to that later. But they are transcribed when the official Serbian name is used. They're supposed to transcribe the way the official Serbian transcription is, which is basically in 99% of the cases the same as the Croatian name, by the way. So here you can see an example of having a minority place name. Now, if you look at the proper noun part of the name, which is Konija in this case, this is in Vojvodina, You can see that the top one is the Cyrillic Serbian, which is a little bit different to Russian and Ukrainian Cyrillic. You can see the middle, which is, well, this is a good question. If you want to interpret it the way that it's a Croatian name, you can. You can also interpret it the way that it's a Serbian name transcribed into Latin script. And then on the bottom, you can see the Hungarian name, and basically the proper noun part of the name, which is Kanija, is the same name. But as you can see, depending on the language, it's written differently. Opposing here in Ukraine, Ukraine does not use Latin script in their official place naming. So you can see that it's only written in Cyrillic script. Now, here I took a few examples. You can see here, if you would use the Serbian name, including using the Serbian name in Hungary, Germany, maybe the Vatican for the Latin one, I actually just chose to show the Latin because it's got the similarities of the German. Then you would still use the name Subotica, but written in Latin script if the writing, let's say it's in a text, it's in Latin script, you would use it that way, that the Serbian transcriptions that I wrote in brackets over there. Obviously, if you really want to, you can use the Cyrillic script, but obviously in a Latin script environment, that does not usually happen. But if you would use the Hungarian or the German name, you can use that as well. Now, considering, I don't really want to go into now if it's an exonym or a minority name, because that just depends on if the locals use it or not. Right now, it's really about the transcription of the name. Now, this is the point where I talked about having a name that's actually the same name in all the different languages. Now, you can see the common noun, which is large or great. It's actually translated in all languages, veliki, nagy in Hungarian, or gross in German. And you can see the Bechkerek, and the Romanian version, mare, is put at the end for it's large. But other than that, you can basically see, especially the Serbian, Hungarian, and German names, that it's basically a transcription of the same name. So regardless of if you look at Cyrillic or the Latin Serbian one, or you can also consider that Croatian. The reason why I didn't write Croatian at the top is because it just didn't fit, but that's what it actually is. Bechkerek is the same name in all of these languages. In Romanian, it's a little bit different, but not much. Now, as opposed to this, you can see here, I just wrote it in brackets, the common noun, so you can see the translation in brackets, and you can see here, as I said earlier on, that if you would leave off the common noun part, that it's exactly the same name, just transcribe. Despite this, if you have a Hungarian text which wants to refer to the Serbian name, or a German text which wants to refer to the Serbian name, you're going to use the Serbian version, which you see it on the top row. I don't know if you can see the mouse pointer, but it's the top row over here, basically the one that's written in Latin script. Now, obviously in Ukraine, you have some similarities. I'd like to emphasize that Ukraine has much fewer minority names in Latin script than Serbia does. Here you can see an example. Now, again, the Hungarian and German names are basically the same name. Right now, we're just looking at the minority names / exonyms, depending on if you still have that minority living in the place or not. Munkac, basically the German and the Hungarian name is pronounced the same way, but written differently. Now, the Ukrainian Russian, I just wrote it because it coincidentally is the same as the Ukrainian, just so you can see a situation like that. And the Slovak name is also the same name, Mukachevo. The Ruthenian one, and this is why I actually wrote the Russian one as well, because you can see that the Ruthenian and even the Russian are a bit different to Mukachevo. So right now it's not transcribed, it's just the way they officially write it. Now, please remember what you can see here on the Slovakian one. The reason why I use that is because this area used to be at one point part of Czechoslovakia, so this was used as a name, so it's a little bit difficult. And now you can see the transcription. So this is Mukachevo, so the official Ukrainian name, transcribed into different languages. I just chose the English version so you can see what it looks like in English. But look at this version, and you can see that the Slovak name is actually the same as what you saw on the previous slide. Now we can argue about it if this is just a transcription or if it's Slovak exonym or what is it, because the reason why it becomes a bit more complicated than you think in a normal case straightforward is because, as I said, this name even was official for that place at some point. Actually, it was some point between 1920 and 1938. Yeah. So here's another one. Now, I don't know if we have any Romanian colleagues sitting here. This is Bucha, which, well, as I said, I wrote this before the 24th of February. Why did I choose this? Well, you can see the Romanian name. You're going to find this name on a map of Romania in Transylvania. Now, this is where it gets confusing. This is where it hits back because the advantage of transcribing the name phonetically into its own languages is it makes it easier to pronounce. But now what do we have here? We have a name that's in the Kiev Oblast of Ukraine, which we're talking about right now. But this name also appears in Transylvania, the Romanian version written exactly the same way. The Hungarian transcription also used to be the Hungarian name of that place before the Hungarian names got standardized in 1899. So, and that's exactly how they wrote it, what you see here. Now, this Hungarian name, Bucha, for the place name in Transylvania, it's in Cluj County, became used again by the Hungarian minority in Transylvania. So what you have here, and this is where the problem comes in, you just present it to an average audience. Now, obviously, as I said before, the unfortunate situation happened that this name was spread all over the media. I would have said that a Hungarian or a Romanian person would have localized this automatically in Romania, while a Ukrainian person would have probably localized this in Ukraine. What the Slovak person would have localized, I could not decide. And, well, obviously, just think back before the unfortunate tragic situation happened in Bucha. I'm not sure if an English-speaking person even heard about this place name. So this is where, now, if the Ukrainians would have standardized the transcription of this name, you probably could have had a different spelling, so immediately would have localized it in Ukraine. So this is where I feel it gets a little bit interesting and complicated. Or I don't know if it's complicated, but as you can see, they're close to the Serbian version. If you would have this, I didn't actually find an example like this in Serbia. This is why I actually chose this example. And I have to admit, I wanted to change it at some point, but I didn't find another. This example shows that through a transcription, you can end up with a name that actually exists in the country in whose language you transcribe it to, or in another country that's more often used by that language, or maybe even has a minority in that language. Now, there's another name which gets a little bit difficult. I deleted that slide because it kept on changing every, I don't know, 4 days. That's the name of the capital of Ukraine, Kyiv. Now, in many English-speaking literature before 2014, Kiev was used, and I was going through the countries. Interestingly, it changed just about weekly because there are still countries that use Kiev, but in the West, it started going over into Kyiv. Now, I have to say that I regard it as transcribing two different names. Now, which one is an endonym and which one is an exonym? Well, I have to say it depends on who you ask. So that made it more complicated, and I just couldn't keep up with the updating, so I had to delete that slide. Now, just to summarize and to conclude the whole thing that I spoke, Serbian names, probably the former Yugoslavia is the only, well, as far as I've found, the only part of the world that managed to transcribe their Cyrillic names into Latin in such a way that everybody accepted it. Now, no misunderstanding, Ukraine, Russia, I don't want to go into Kazakhstan because they're trying to move over to Latin script right now, managed to get this going, tried this as well, but never managed to get it through. And you can see the advantages and disadvantages of this. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, János, for your presentation. We will have the discussion afterwards at the end of all presentations, so please note your questions or comments for the time after the presentations. Thank you once again, János. Our next presenter will be Viktor Putrenko. He is from the Ukrainian Academy of Sciences, from the Department of Geography, and we appreciate very much your presence here, at least online, from a war-beaten country and under this, for us, unimaginable circumstances as you work and as you present now. So please start your presentation.
Thank you very much, Peter. I'm glad to see you all participants. My presentation now, it's regional web atlases of United Territorial Communities in Ukraine as effective instrument of land management and spatial planning. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Decentralization in Ukraine is one of the important reform process in Ukraine. There is a change in the administrative territorial structure. New administrative entries appear as the United Territorial Communities or amalgamated gromadas. Transfer of powers and resources from the central to the periphery is not only regional transformation, but also and change of material resources between the central and periphery gromadas. Implementation of information resources that help communities in the development, especially the special resources like geoportals and different kinds of geospatial sources, is one of the important sources for development. Also in Ukraine, change the legislative base. It's law about the national infrastructure of geospatial data, which was provided 1 year ago, opening the land market in first after the independence of Ukraine, development of complex plan for territorial development of communities that providing the special planning base for all gromadas in Ukraine. But now, you know, Russian invasion destroys Ukrainian communities and kills our residents. All open Ukrainian cartographic resources of the cadastral, special data infrastructure and local geoportals were closed because one of the problem of occupation is the using of Russian soldiers, outdated maps, topographic maps, and we try to close all cartographic resources. And then one of the problem between the open and closed data now. What does it mean, the general network of geoportals, local, national, special data infrastructure? It's combined together national level of organization data, including government, cadastral, national cadastral system, urban planning, profile organization, and local regional level, when all communities has owner geoportals and collect in own resource data and representative in different web services. The main components of this architecture is the structure combined together all components which providing applications. It's including thematical maps, services, and spatial analysis tools. The main task of this is decision making on the level of government in Gromadas, special plannings, investments, land management and taxing, tourist potential, environmental protection, participatory management of citizens, and of course, open data access. One of them is a special planning, which join together special data like topographic maps, survey data, cadastral data, urban planning, environmental monitoring, statistical data about population and economic growth, and other data need to decision making. Also, Atlas map instrument in this way, including traditional methods of thematic map making, contents in layers representation, widgets of analytical tools, interactive charts and filters for future selection and zooming, modern template of web content for web map application. The map groups of map include basic data sets that describe the natural resource of the territory, transport network, borders of community settlements, maps that describe the social economic infrastructure of amalgamated Gromadas, namely social, medical, communal and managerial infrastructure, cultural heritage, potential basic enterprises in the amalgamated Gromadas and their relationship with filling the budget of the Gromadas. Maps of data monitoring that reflect the status and change in amalgamated Gromadas. Among the main important maps for monitoring the territory are the following: agricultural crops for different dates, fire history, loss of vegetation, states, land cadastral with attribute information. Basic web application tools in atlases include detection change in agriculture sectors, the boundaries of real agricultural fields, the area, crop type, and its productivity in dynamics, definition of land plots that are not included in the public cadastral map of Ukraine, as well as identification of plotted agricultural roads, identification of file localization, duration, and time of occurrence, fixing trees cover change and change in the land cover of Gromadas. One or more of aspect is safety according to the open data opposite closed data. Terrorism and military threats raise the question of the approximativeness of public use of data. An intermediate solution is to use the limited access to different data sets that are publicly available and for internal use. With the outbreaks of hostility, access to the data of the National Special Data Infrastructure, the cadastral system and national register was terminated. The traditional structure of list atlases looks like this on the example of Herzen region. It's natural condition, population, enterprises, humanitarian sphere, environmental conditions, safety, administration and administration services, special planning, transport infrastructure, tourism, and so on. On the example of integrated map of Zasule community, we can see the organizing this map with widgets of layers, of legend, navigation widgets, and main groups of layers, which including all information about these communities, including land market information, infrastructure, social objects, and so on. This information divided in the several thematic application looks like land use monitoring, providing information about agricultural cultures, structure of land use, which collect all data about the plots on the territory of communities and owners, natural and man-made fire emergency. It's very important now, according to the explosive fire, which provide in all around the Ukraine. One of the important part is in improving the touristic potential of territory before the war, and a lot of communities providing information about natural and cultural heritage on their territory in the form like storytelling. Another way, citizen budget of community can be providing look like dashboards, can had us possibility to understanding, for example, the general number of the projects which provided by citizens, the general budgets, the difference of this budget according to the structure and special destination. Another example, it's social infrastructure of Ternopil city, which provide information about the general indicator for schools. And we can see the difference by the cost of one pupil, number of pupils, number of teachers, and dynamics of these indicators. The general conclusion is the region web atlases are a useful form for organization data for new units like amalgamated hromades. Region web atlases is based on the use of related web application structures that describe the main elements of community management system. Using the approach allow you to effectively make management decision and take part in the development of national spatial data infrastructure. Thank you very much for your attention. Glory to Ukraine. I hope the conference will be very good.
Thank you very much, Viktor, for this presentation. I think you showed by your examples impressively the power of maps, what cartography is able to work out, and how interesting and how valuable maps can be. Again, we have the discussion at the end of our presentations, and we go to the next presenter. It will be Viktor Chabaniuk, again from the Institute of Department of Geography of the Ukrainian Academy of Sciences. Please, you have the floor.
Hello, everybody. I'm not sure that on the screen there is my presentation. Andres, can you help me?
If you want to share your presentation, look at the top left corner. It says archive, edit, and the third one is compartir, which means share. So click on compartir, please.
Unfortunately, I expected that presentation will be from your side.
So do you want us to display your video?
Just now, I'm using iPad. I haven't presentation here on my iPad. So is it possible to show my presentation from your side?
Yes. Yeah, just bear with me one moment, please.
should we wait or?
Yeah, please, 1 moment, please.
It's a pre-recorded version.
Yes.
I think you should show us a PowerPoint.
Correct. Victor, can you see our screen?
No, not yet.
Can you see it now?
Yes, I see. Can you start presentation? I tried to say no words here, only demonstration, but I will try to comment. Please start presentation. It's will be time restrictions there.
Please present yourself. Please present yourself. You will show the PowerPoint presentation and please speak to the PowerPoint presentation.
But I do not understand how I can start my presentation. Oh, okay.
Can you see the presentation on your screen?
Yes, I see.
So,
So please, second.
Comment your pictures, your slides.
Yeah, I will comment.
Yes, please do so.
Please, next slide. Next slide. Can you show next slide? Yes, right. Okay. This is main goal of our work. Can you show me second slide, please? Or please press on the right side in the below, and you will.
So, can you see now the very first slide of your presentation?
No, I can't.
So what can you see now on your screen?
It's first screen, yes. But if you write in the below press стаканчик, you can go into automatic regime. Can you list slides just now?
Do you want us to display just the video you sent us?
This
Maybe
one.
easier.
Can I comment it? No.
Please comment. Yes. Comment your slides. Can you see your slides on the screen?
Okay, the first slide is clear. It's Atlas geoinformation model and system. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Can you see it? The next slide.
Next, no. Just now I see next slide. Okay, I start comment next slide. On this slide, you can see our task here. We are trying to model sustainable development system of the country through the system and through the model. They are explained later on the next slide. Please, next slide.
Yes.
We have the next slide. Can you see it?
Yeah, I see next slide. The problem
so-
is that Agenda 2030 is so complicated, and there are 300 of indicators, and it's very hard to model everything. But the problem is that you cannot model the system through partly. You must model system as a whole. And here it's also explanation what does it mean best model. Best model must be Atlas Geographic Information System because it's simplest, it's powerful enough, and we have possibility to construct the sustainability system as we want. Please, next slide.
Yes.
In this job,
Yes,
we are using so-called relational cartography, which was described in the sources in the below. It's our together with Rudenko work. From the right side of the slide, you can see principle 1 gig. It's system theory, which is principally used for construct hierarchy of our system. By the way, the main methodology is relational cartography. Please, next slide. On this slide, you can see that we have a little bit additional model of the sustainability through the culture. It's culture added on the left higher corner. And the system is Atlas Geographic Information System, which is modeling the reality, and Atlas Geoinformation System cultural heritage is we are starting from this side, and there are two options. One option is through economy, another is through the society. Below you can see where is it was published. Next slide, please.
We can see it. Please comment.
Yes. On this slide, you can see originality from which we take more extended model of sustainability, standard environment, social and economic. We added culture. Please, next slide. Unfortunately, you start very complicated presentation. Did you have yesterday presentation, which was I sent you? I'm so sorry. Of course, it's very complicated to comment. I don't know what to do. My presentation was very simple. It was step-by-step conception described. Here, it's, I don't know. Peter, what do you think? I can continue, of course, but it will take many
just
time.
present the kind of, please, just present the kind of conclusion, I would say. Conclude your paper by some sentences highlighting the essence of your paper. Just conclude it.
Let's go to the conclusion.
Yes, yes.
To the end.
Just conclude your presentation with a few sentences.
Yeah, I try to find the concluding site. By the way, okay, to the end. Okay, I will try to make the conclusion. In our work, we have constructed Atlas geoinformation system partly, and we start to realize it. In the Ministry of Culture of Ukraine, we have realized below levels of the system. You just now see this realization. We constructed model. We constructed model which must be pattern-based model. It's Atlas geoinformation model which must be used to construct such type of the system. The system must be hierarchical, and the level on the bottom level of hierarchy should be something like similar atlases. Atlas of Ukraine, National Atlas of Ukraine, or it can be Atlas of any country. And its principle that it must be hierarchy which strata should be connected with each other. It should be 4 strata, and only such hierarchical system is the best way to construct, to model sustainability of the country. Is it possible to realize? My conclusion, yes, it's possible to realize if the Agenda 2030 is right. I'm not sure that it's possible to model, to describe sustainability of each country through 300 indicators, and it will be successful. By the way, we have proposed the system. It will be complicated to realize, but no other way. I didn't understand any other way to construct national-wide system. That's all. I'm sorry that we have so bad prepared to this presentation. Maybe it was my mistake that I sent one presentation and second and again. and at last I have a possibility to demonstrate. By the way, I think so that the presentation is available, and if somebody would like to see, I will be ready to answer on the questions. Thank you for everybody.
Yes, thank you, Viktor, for your presentation. We had some technical problems, but I think the main message arrived. It needs a hierarchical system which has to be interconnected. The hierarchical levels have to be interconnected. I think this was a major message of your presentation.
It's main message, yes.
Exactly. So thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. And we have the presentation available, so if somebody would like to look at it once more, we have it, and it is at your disposal. So thank you very much again, and we hurry to the next, to the last presentation of this session. It is Andrey Herzen from the Institute of Geography of the Russian Academy of Sciences in Moscow, who will present on a historical atlas and on the view of this atlas on the region of Moldova in the widest sense, so to say. So please, Andrey.
Nice to meet you, Professor. How far-sighted you are to make us the pre-recorded presentations, so to exit these technical problems. Naturally, evidently they are. So please put on my pre-recorded presentation, so we have the problems with the communication, because WebEx is impossible to install right now to the stationary computers, and we have to join you by iPhones, and the possibility to put on presentations, you see, is really difficult and even impossible. Can we start it?
Just bear with me 1 moment, please.
Great. And online, please. Mm-hmm.
My presentation to the painting of the northwestern region in the recent Zannoni paper. Giovanni Bartolomeo Zannoni, a scientist, photographer, who worked in France for many years, is known for his reflective was born in Padua in 1733. During the 40s, early 1750s, he was a student of astronomy Giovanni Paleni at the University of Padua. Then traveled in Italy, Turkey, Russia. In 1753, he was invited by the Polish king August III, at whose court Zannoni began his career as a cartographer. In 1756-57, he carried out geodetic measurements in Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Russia. In 1757, he was captured by the French army during the Battle of Bach, and sent to Paris, where he lived and worked for more than 20 years. It was there that Zannoni met President of Cagliari, Secretary of the Embassy of the Kingdom of Naples. As a result, he created a map of the Kingdom of Naples based on best sources of the time, and was then employed as a hydrographer engineer in Paris, where he worked from 1772. But Zannoni then returned to Italy, Venice, Padua, and Naples. During his lifetime, several of his books, atlases, and Germany, modern and ancient France, of Poland, of the northern part of Ottoman Empire, of Europe, and of course, incredibly detailed geographic atlas of the Kingdom of Naples on 32 large sheets, completed in 1812 and in European scientific circles, his contribution was already appreciated by his contemporaries. Dyshlyk, 18th century and 19th century blessing in northern Italy, scientific conferences are held in his honor. Colorful tomes are published, and richest heritage is actively digitized and analyzed. Due to this, we can study very important information concerns in his maps and analysis, like this and the previous map is very important among the multi-page new topographic maps created by his team. We show a large part of the region in the northwestern Black Sea region. The most interesting is the map of Poland, Carta de Canon, Visita France, et Palatina, et Visita Discrete, etc. The scale of the map is about 1 to 600,000. It was published in Paris on 24 sheets and was actually prepared and presented to Prince Jablonski in London on 25th January 1772. Although the main content of the map is actually a colossal atlas. Even the image of Poland in the borders of those times, their adjustment plans are shown in no that detail, including the areas of the Black Sea region to the north of the 47th north latitude parallel. The territory of the Black Sea region is depicted on 6 of the 24 sheets of the atlas. These are these sheets. The unique map of the atlas of Poland, compiled by Zannoni in the middle of the 18th century and published in early 1772, are an invaluable scientific source. The atlas contains detailed information on the historical geography of the northwestern and northern Black Sea regions. Of particular importance is the totally unique map of Moldavia and its adjacent territories. Mainly, it occupies the sheet 23 as well as the neighboring 22nd and 24. It was compiled on the basis of not only such earlier sources and the rich cartographic materials of predecessors, of Lang, Continuous, and others, but also, most importantly, not yet identified or documented works of the cartographers of the Ottoman Empire, which flourished in the 15th, 17th centuries. The work of Zannoni is the reproduction of the oldest, out at the moment, topographic map of the northwestern Black Sea region, reflecting the geographical picture no later than the first half of the 16th, second half of the 17th centuries. This atlas is highly detailed. It widely conveys topographic aspects of natural hydrography, vegetation, politic, geographical, socio-economic, and linguo-ethnographical, state and administrative territories and borders, statutes and features of the development of settlers, mining centers, roads, toponymy, national affiliation companies. However, its primary focus and the obvious purpose is a meticulous depiction of fortification. Recent Zannoni's maps covering the central part of the northwestern Black Sea region, Serbia, and border areas. The list studied among the surrounding territories, Hungarian, Polish kingdoms, Crimean, Balkan pasturas, and Rizzi contain unique information about hundreds of geographical objects and their names. The following slides list the names of fortifications of fortified cities and towns, and the images of the maps sheets and 24 the atlas. And we have to say that this study introduces very many of these toponyms and these localities in the role of fortifications with the toponymical picture characteristic for the previous periods. It is very, very important for regional science as well as European. Here we can see the fortification of fortified cities and towns of the part of Hungary, Pennsylvania, now in Romania, and Kingdom of Poland, province Alla Bochkovska, its eastern part, nowadays western Ukraine, Podolia and Yugoslavia, the central part of modern Ukraine, the eastern part, southeastern part of Ukraine, it was Tatar region, Steppe Tatar of Achakovsky, Sikh ordinary. And here we can see that many of the toponyms are identity of Turkic etymology, Yarlik, Kaynar, Yeniduni, Dadan. The Serbian part, now it is the borderline between southern Ukraine and Moldavia. Then there's Bujak, Baby, Bujak, Papagani, Topani, Steppe Tatar, Mizrahi, Ordani, with characteristic names, of course, the territorial central, northern, and the eastern Moldavia with well-known fortifications and unknown, especially in the eastern part of between Orhi, Soroka, Kishmer. It is even here, Kisnul, and other territories. Very important discovery was made on the nowadays Soroka region and neighboring parts of northern Moldavia. It is named on the map Lika, Timetible, Topani, Polakus, Tatar. It gives us knowledge about the historical geographical situation of the previous late medieval period and accommodation of Lika Tatars. The historical geographical information recorded on written maps is of enormous multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary significance. Its consideration is important for modern and future studies of geography, history, archaeology, architecture, culture, art, ethnography, linguistics, toponymy of the region at large, as well as for each individual and each site. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Andrey, for highlighting this very important historical map and for keeping also the time. Yes, we have, after 4 presentations, with a strong focus on the eastern part of Europe, East Central Europe, Southeastern Europe, now time for some discussion for a quarter of an hour, perhaps even more discussion, and you can ask questions and comments from the floor. I will receive them and will transform them to our presenters. Please, you have the floor for questions and comments. Please, yes.
János Jeney, the Romanisation of Cyrillic.
Please speak up a little.
János Jeney, the Romanisation of Cyrillic. I like to comment that here in order the transcription, phonetic transcription to the current name, we use the standardized transcription recommended by the group of experts on the and not the transcription.
Yes, thank you. It was a comment on your paper, and it was presented a comment by a colleague from Spain, and she was commenting that they are not using transcription of the Ukrainian Cyrillic alphabet, but the angegeben recommended conversion system, which is actually an English phonetic conversion system. It's not a transliteration, it's an English phonetic conversion
Yeah, I
system.
didn't really go into Spain because I tried to look into the countries that were closer to Ukraine, and this also applies to Russia, by the way. And most countries in Central Europe generally do not do that, what you just said. So, yeah. So thanks for that comment. I mean, sometimes I did write the English transcription onto the bottom, but yeah. Also, the other thing is that most Slavic languages don't tend to use that.
Yes, you know that the former conversion system from the Ukrainian Cyrillic alphabet was a transliteration system, a Slavistic transliteration system, but it was replaced in 2012 by English phonetic transcription system. So
Yeah,
just let me explain it a little bit. The United Nations group of experts in 2012 replaced the former transliteration system by English phonetic transcription system. And of course, besides this international system, exist national domestic systems for different languages. So also for the Hungarian language, for other languages, exist phonetic transcription systems directed to a certain receiver language, like Hungarian, for instance.
Yeah.
So for the national level, for the domestic level, you have the domestic transcription system usually, and you apply usually the domestic transcription system. And for international purposes, for purposes of international cartography, for instance, you apply this English phonetic transcription system, which is recommended by the United Nations.
Yeah, but the point I was actually trying to make, sorry about that. The point I was actually trying to make, I know you do that, but the point I was trying to make is that Serbia, I would say, was more successful in worldwide internationalization of this system up till now than what you said, and I think the time will probably change that, by the way. So, well, at least I think what you said with the Hungarian system, it could go through the complete internationalization in all countries, because, for example, in the case of Serbia, you don't have that anymore. Well, you don't have these domestic transcription systems that you have still for Russian and Ukrainian.
I think the two of us, the colleague from Spain and I, were referring to the Ukrainian conversion system. The Serbian conversion system is a different case. It's a different case.
Yeah, that's the point I'm trying to
It's a transliteration. It's a transliteration system, a Slavistic transliteration system, and it's well established and used in Serbia, of course,
and also outside of Serbia, in many countries. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for that comment, Ray.
Thank you. Other questions or comments on this, on all papers? Yes, please. Any
question to Andrey. So you're using this old map and work and a lot of information in these old maps. Are there any plans to extract it into your system, like GIS or something like that, that people can profit from this?
Yes, it's a question to Andrey Herzen, and I would like to
I haven't heard it. Please repeat.
Yes, I repeat this question. This is a very valuable old map, historical map, and it's in the archives, of course, and use of this map is very difficult and it's not as easily accessible. So are there plans to make this map better accessible by digitizing it, by using it in a GIS system and so on?
Thank you for the question. You know, what is concerned with the accessibility of the map, thanks to the epoch of this digitalization and the archives, the libraries who collect these treasures, they start to digitalize it with high resolution and to make accessible. And it is very well done in Paris, in Spain. Thank you a lot for that. In Poland, in different other countries, and the accessibility to this definitely map and the atlas of Rizzi Zannoni is open. It is possible right now from anywhere using internet. If we think about digitalization and use of this information based and served by these antique sources, it is a very difficult task, and this is the next step on this way of development of our science, historical geographical direction with the use of new methods. We are thinking about that, and we try to use it. But first of all, what is concerned with my purposes is to unite the scientists of different directions, all the kinds of geographers, as well as historians, archaeologists, architects, to solve the definite problems on proper sites, because there are very many unanswered questions about concerning every locality and fortified complexes situated there, and old maps and systematization and research in this field gives us very many information that we can use, and digitalization in this way is one of the very good methods. Of course, it should be spread all over the world, all over the places, because every old territory has a big amount of preserved old maps that we have to study.
Yes, thank you very much, Andrey, for this very comprehensive response, I think. Are there any other questions or comments? Well, I would like to follow up with the next question to you, Andrey. What are the naming principles of this map, of this Rizzi Zannoni map? As I've seen from the the screen here. Polish orthography has been used for all the rooms. So the Polish the names have been Polonized, so to say.
It's a complicated situation here. The atlas, Rizzi Zannoni atlas, is a very interesting and complicated source, and it is the atlas made completed of 24 different maps. And my territory of study is the southern part of it, which is bordering with Ottoman Empire, Kingdom of Hungary, and these territories. You know, while studying the toponymical situation on the maps, I found that the sources used by Rizzi Zannoni were different. First, it seemed to me the use of Arabic script makes us thinking that it was directly taken from Turkish topography, and Turkey flourished in the period of 15th, 16th century, and cartography was developed there very, very well. So definitely one of the sources of Rizzi Zannoni was old Turkish maps. But the rest territory, and first of all, the atlas is consecrated to Poland, used Polish way of writing, and toponyms are written in Polish. First, one of the main sources of him is Bob Lance, very well-known plans of fortified territories and the whole territory of southwestern Poland. And of course, Hungarian script is also used on the territory which is next to Hungary, and first of all describes Hungary, Transylvania and Maramuresh. So here we can see on this 23rd list of the atlas, 23rd map, and as well as 22nd, 24th, and neighboring from the north to it, the use of different scripts, and which gives us information about the sources used by this prominent cartographer.
So different principles have been applied on the map face.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this response. Yes, János, you have the floor.
One question to Viktor Putrenko. Yeah, got his name right. You showed us these maps, and well, from what I saw on the PowerPoint slides, all of them had Cyrillic script on there. Is there a feature of having Latin transcription, and in that case, to use the English transcription, or does it depend on who's looking at it, or how does this work, or if you have any of it at all?
We are using the general approach to the distribution information. We are using national register of geographical names and using base maps for the representative the information. Also providing looks like OpenStreetMap resources and or some commercial resources like National Cartographic Organization or commercial distributors.
And do you have one type of transcription for the whole area?
No, we have the catalog of geographical names, but especially I cannot to able deep to this question.
Yes, thank you, the both of you. Are there any other questions or comments from the floor? Then I would have one additional comment on János's paper. You were addressing the differences between the transliteration of the Serbian Cyrillic alphabet, and the Croatian Roman writing of the same names. These differences are due to the differences between the Iaccabian and the Accabian variant of the Serbo-Croatian of the Stocavian dialect. Both languages are based on the Stocavian dialect group, but the Croatian language is based on the Iaccabian variant, is using the Iaccabian variant, and the Serbian language is using the Accabian language. So the differences are due to these differences in using these two different variants.
Pretty rare.
The case in point is Sremska Mitrovica. It's Sremska Mitrovica in Serbian, or in transliterated, if you write it in transliterated Serbian, it's Sremska Mitrovica with just an E. And if you look at the Croatian Roman version of the name, it's Sremska Mitrovica. It's the Accabian version. EJ.
Peter, I have to tell you that
this is a reason for the difference.
I made that mistake sometime in 2002 or 2003 when I was in Serbia. That nearly cost me a punch in the face because I made it in front of some nationalists. So I didn't know it was from the dialect, but they very quickly made it very clear to me that, well, it's different. So if you understand what I'm saying, is that that's not the only one. Some other place, I can't remember which one in Vojvodina, where I made that mistake. And well, you know, if somebody's really fanatic, they'll go on about it. But I'd say 90% of the times it doesn't really make much of a difference. So they're not really going to react to it. But yeah, thanks for that comment. I mean, that's fact. I left that one out. I think I touched that one in the last year sometime, if I remember correctly, or some other name regarding that. I can't really remember. I'd have to look at that paper from, I don't know which one actually. Maybe from the one from Bloemfontein. I don't know.
Yes. The exceptions, these cases are just a few. It's just occasional differences.
I remember I found about 2 or 3
Yeah.
in Vojvodina, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So are there any other questions or comments on the floor? If this is not the case, thank you once again, all the paper presenters of this session. Thank you very much for joining us, if only from afar, and also for your attendance here in the room. That seems lunch is waiting for us now. Yes. Would you like to say something?
Just a couple of things in terms of organising. Today we're having lunch now, and for those of you who are getting to the guided tours, the buses will be waiting at 4 o'clock outside, and we hope to be back at round about 7. So that's the first thing. If any of you is still willing to take part, I think there may still be some room, both today and tomorrow, and it's 2 trips each day, one to the National Library and the other one to the Geographical Service of the Spanish Army. So these are the 2 guided tours for today and tomorrow. Another very basic thing, but please keep an eye on your wallet when you go in the underground and in the city centre. Madrid is not dangerous, but pickpocketings do happen, and especially passport and credit cards, please keep an eye on that. And then tomorrow morning, since Kenneth Field is in hospital in the UK, we first would like to we wish him a nice and short recovery. And then I propose starting half an hour later tomorrow morning. So instead of starting at 9, how about starting at 9:30? So that, because we only have 2 keynotes instead of 3. Okay, so 9:30 tomorrow morning. And that's it. So have a nice afternoon and evening.
Bye-bye. Nice to meet you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Best regards.
Thank you.